Hello everybody, I'm Vivian Kerr. I'm the Head of Musical Theatre at the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama. Thank you so much for joining us for today's question and answer session. It's really lovely to see that so many of you have joined us online. And joining me today are some students from the current programme, and I'm going to hand straight over to them, Lucia and Chloe, so they can share some of their experiences directly with you.
Hi everyone, so I'm Lucia.
I'm Chloe.
And I'm going to talk about what a typical week on the course looks like. So a typical week is skills classes in the morning and project in the afternoons. On a Monday, we have ballet and dialect, which is dialect is accents, and that links well to our voice sessions. Tuesday we have jazz, which is quite a lot of physical conditioning before going into more technical based routines. We have voice and speech training, and it's Tuesday to Thursday that we have projects in the afternoon. Other projects we have done are improvisation, approaches to acting through that, looking at different types of improv and different practitioners' ideas around it. We've done the acting through song project, and we did approaches to text. So that takes place Tuesday to Thursday afternoons. Wednesday, we have building a portfolio in the morning, which is looking at adding getting together a rep list for us to have when we go out into the industry to take with us. We have tap, which we are set for, so that we can progress with different abilities, because some people have never tapped before, some people have tapped all of our lives. And then Thursday, we have our second jazz class of the week, our second voice and speech training, and then we go into project. Friday is more of an academic day. So in the first term, we had musical theatre history in the morning, which was basically going right back to the 1920s and exploring the history of musical theatre, which was really helpful in linking to our building a portfolio class, because it meant that we had more of an insight about where to find rep and more of an understanding about where the rep we're choosing comes from. We have musicianship, which is a lot of ensemble singing and also musical theatre, like the theory of music. So that's really useful. We have a still, and that's taught by Tim Richards, who's the only master trainer in Wales of a still. So it's a very unique style of voice training. And we have movement, which again links really well to voice. We sort of are looking at how we warm our bodies up in the space and being prepared for performance. We also have half an hour of repertoire sessions throughout the week each, which is just a chance to try out different types of rep. Our rep coaches also help us to choose rep, which is really important when it comes to showcase. And we have technique lessons, in which the first couple of weeks we're set with a voice tutor, which is there to help us progress. So that's set for us individually, specific voice tutors. And the technique lessons are an hour. So we get an hour tech a week, an hour rep a week, and they're sort of sprinkled throughout the week.
So I'd say I'm talking about my favourite part of the course. I think a big thing for me is we get a lot of practitioners in to help study with us. So a lot of the projects in the afternoon are external practitioners that come and do that, and it's often they're still working in the industry, which I think is really beneficial to us, as they can see what we're going into as well. Performance experiences, which I know Lucia's are going to talk about, cabarets, concerts, collaboration with musicians here, because we've got a massive music department, which is really amazing. For me, I'm quite a big dancer, so I love having the jazz twice a week, ballet, tap. It's great that tap's split, and it's great that we get that individual things. And I think the end goal for everyone is just to get an aspect of all ideas of the industry, and that's what we're training for in this intense year. We're getting prepped for the industry, which is really fab.
So following on from that, talking about the performance opportunities we get through the year. So we're really lucky on this course that we do get quite a lot of performance opportunities, but also there's quite a variety in what we do. And there's a lot of beautiful spaces that we do. So we have internal and external spaces that we have the opportunity to perform in. So in the foyer of the college, we have cabarets at college, which is really nice because it's a chance for you to perform rap that you like, really, that you choose. And it's a really nice way to ease us into public performances. So we do about 2 of them a term, and they're really popular but with locals, so we get a lot of regulars at the cabarets, and it's just a really good way to ease us into the public performance. And then the first sort of large scale public performance we do is Christmas on Broadway, which is in the 400-seater concert hall, the Dora. So it's a gorgeous space, and it's right before Christmas, and we do a selection of musical theatre songs and Christmas classics, and everyone really loved that. That was a really nice way to sort of finish the first term. Then at the end of February, we do a mock showcase, which is a chance to sort of trial different types of rap. It's basically like a practice run of showcase so that it's not so scary. And that happens at the end of February. We have our first musical at the end of March in the Richard Burton Theatr. And we have our second big musical in the Sherman Theatr, which is nice because it means that we're doing 2 large-scale shows in an internal and an external venue. So we've got a big variety of performance spaces. Our term 2 show for us is Flora the Red Menace, and you can get tickets for that on the website.
Promo.
Little plug. And that's March the 29th to the 31st. And for the shows, we get 3 evening performances and 1 matinee performance. From the second week of March, our skills classes stop and we swap into full day rehearsals for the productions. And then showcase takes place in April, the middle of April, just after the Easter break. And we do 2 Cardiff shows and 1 show in London. And then it's good because we have a week off afterwards to stay up in London and have agent meetings, which hopefully we'll be getting after the showcases.
Fingers crossed.
And then we go from the middle of May straight through into the second show, and that culminates in a show at the end of June, beginning of July, and then we graduate.
My final question really is about living in halls. I know as a postgraduate student, it's often tricky about where to live. I live in halls. Luch doesn't. There's a quite mix on our course. I'd say about 60% live in halls. So the halls for us is called 7 Point. It's down the road. It's about a 10-15 minute walk at max to college, which is great. The thing that worried me was who I was going to be living with, having been to university before coming here. I've done the halls thing. So it was then a case of where I wanted to live. The good thing about 7 Point is you get to ask who you want to live with, whether that be postgraduate students or bachelor students. So I put down to have a postgraduate student flat. So I've got a mix of all MA students across different courses, which is great because I love these guys, but we're together 24/7. So it's nice to go home and have different people on different courses. I think for me, living in halls, it was a case of the ease. Everything's there for you. Every room has an ensuite bathroom. Obviously, it's a shared kitchen. They're all great, really modern. But the big thing for me, especially at the moment, was finding a place you don't have to stress about bills, and having everything included in the year. So you know what's coming out each month in terms of your accommodation. And it's a lovely place. it's a great place. So in terms of living, I would recommend it. But yeah.
Thanks, Chloe. That's really helpful. And thanks, Luch, for all of your insights into the course and what it's like to be living in halls in Cardiff or not. I'm going to speak now a little bit about auditions. And so this advice is going to be for people who are looking to apply for entry in 2023. That's this year. If you're thinking already about applying in subsequent years, I would suggest that you please check our website closer to the application deadline in case anything's changed. After the session, if you like, you can watch my audition tips video, which is on the website, which you could find at www.rwcmd.ac.uk/auditions. That's probably going to come in the chat box in a second. There we are. So for first rounds, we hold auditions in 2 rounds. We hold a first round and then a recall round. At first round, we would ask for 1 song and 1 speech. And then at recall, we'd ask for 2 songs and 2 speeches. Now, one of those songs and one of those speeches can still be the ones that you submitted at your first round. We just need to see an additional one and of each type of material. We would ask that hopefully you'll do 1 classical and 1 contemporary speech, and also one song. The songs should all be from musical theatre, but one of those should be written before 1965, really, and we should be looking to exhibit a little bit of contrast, you know, show us what kind of flexibility and versatility you've got. So those 2 songs and 2 speeches for a recall round, those would be held, they're usually held in person, or there is an online option for people, which Louise might be able to talk about a bit later. We also hold a movement audition as well, which would be a very short class for us to look at your flexibility and coordination. And then you'll learn a small routine, a short combination that we'll look at. But we also talk to you as well. We're absolutely very interested in getting to know the people that we're going to work with for the year, because the cohorts are small. We're aiming to recruit 16 people for postgraduate in autumn 2023. This current cohort this year, they're a little bit smaller than that, but we're hoping to recruit 16 people. And within that, we'd like to see plenty of diversity, different nationalities, diverse training backgrounds, and because obviously at MA level we do have a lot of people coming from, you know, diverse training backgrounds. Like Chloe says, she's been in university somewhere else. Other people may have been working professionally and looking to refocus their careers or something like that. So those are the audition requirements. In terms of tips, I would suggest always to sing something that you know and that you feel that you do well. It's not a time to overextend yourself and do something that's just out of reach. We'd love to see you at your most comfortable. So in repertoire you feel that you connect to, is possible for you, and that you really enjoy performing. And the same will go for your speeches. Try and make sure that you can understand them, that you feel comfortable being able to communicate the messages that were within them. Obviously, with musical theatre, we're looking at telling stories through the medium of acting, singing and dance. So that's really what we want to see, is your potential for communication through that material. Other than that, you know, try and enjoy it, be present in the room, have some questions to ask us. We would love to answer your questions. We'll also be asking you a few questions as well. We might be asking you about things that you find challenging or things that you're looking forward to or find exciting. It's very important to us that we put the right group of people together that will work well together for the year, because the MA is intensive. And there are long hours, and as Chloe said, you know, everything is quite intense, and we're asking a lot of you in a short amount of time. So yeah, we will get to know you quite well. So bring yourself, feeling as comfortable as you can, with material that you feel that you'd like us to see and you want to share with us. Other than that, I think we hold quite an open an open audition process. We don't have restrictions on particular material. We love hearing material in your own accent wherever possible. That doesn't mean to say that we forbid people doing things in particular accents, but do be prepared to be asked to do material in your own accent, because we're trying to find out who you are as the performer. So that's our starting point, you know, so we can really access some truth. Yeah, I think that's probably it for me and the audition tips. And I think now, is it time to go to Rian or Lou to the submitted questions?
Thanks, Viv. I'm going to go through the submitted questions. We've had
Thank
a
you very
lot
much.
sent in.
Okay.
I'll try and group similar ones together.
Lovely.
If you feel I haven't answered the question you have submitted, pop it in the chat and then we can address it once we go to live questions. So Viv, our first question, what are the qualities that you look for in a prospective student?
Oh gosh, well, what is very interesting about that is I asked this question of the MA group this morning in a class, did I not? And I'm going to share with you the answers that they gave me. And the answers that came out were commitment, generosity, willingness to work, and being present. So we really want to see who you are. Let us see who you are. We want to be able to have conversations with you. We want to know that you're willing to change. If we redirect your material, that doesn't mean that we didn't like what you did. It's just that we're seeing what your trainability is. So we're looking for a sense of openness, a sense of truth, and a real understanding of where you are in relation to maybe where you want to be or where you think the profession might want you to be. So that would be great, you know, an interest in where you are in relation to the musical theatre industry. Yeah. Thanks,
Okay.
Rian.
2 questions here. How are the 3 disciplines divided? How much singing, acting and dancing is studied? And then the second question, which is connected, what dance experience is required?
Oh, okay. I'll answer the second one first, if that's okay. We don't require any dance experience, but as you heard me say earlier on, we do hold a movement part of the audition. You don't have to be the best dancer in the world to get on this programme, but what we do want is a sense of, again, somebody who's willing to throw themselves in. We'd like you to be, you know, coordinated and musical and rhythmic. And brave to try something and get up if you fall down. We don't require dance experience, but some experience of moving to music and feeling comfortable in your body is useful. In terms of the first question, the proportions of what we do is very difficult to answer because some things are taught in groups. So your jazz, tap, ballet, movement, those things are taught in groups and acting through song, and other things are taught individually. But what I will say is you get some of everything every day. So there is, you know, when it all shakes out, there is some dance or movement every day. There is usually an acting project. There's certainly, you know, we have spoken voice twice a week. We have jazz, tap, ballet, movement. What have I forgotten? Jazz, tap, ballet, movement. Oh yeah, and some conditioning, fitness and conditioning, that's going to be coming in there. Yes, which is balanced against, so we have skills in the morning and then we have projects in the afternoon. So the skills are sort of shorter classes in the morning and they're the ones that happen weekly. The projects are longer and then they're in the afternoon. They run for 5 weeks at a time for 4 hours a day. So in terms of the hourly split, and in terms of the credits, the awarded credits, so the academic weighting of the disciplines, it is fairly evenly split across acting, singing and dance. I think there's something like 30 credits, 30, 40, something like that. So yeah, an equal amount of focus is given to those, but it is important to note that we are in Welsh College of Music and Drama, which has a very good reputation for the quality of its acting training, and musical theatre in this college does sit within the acting department. I think that's possibly one of the clearest answers I could give. I'm sorry if it's a bit muddy.
Not at all, Viv. Okay. What do you think makes RWCMD stand out amongst the other drama schools?
What do I think? Oh,
Mm.
goodness. Okay. Well, I'm sitting here in one of our studios and we have some amazing rehearsal facilities. We have 4 enormous sprung-floored mirrored studios. And where I'm sitting now in the studio, I'm looking out onto one of the biggest country parks in the UK. So we have amazing facilities, but in a really beautiful, actually you can see behind Louise's picture, you can see the park behind her there, in a really beautiful setting. So if I was to sort of sum it up, it's a really lovely location in which to do really hard work in great facilities.
Thank you, Viv.
Yeah.
What does the college do to support students' extracurricular activities or supercurricular endeavours? So is there time outside of the course for them to do other activities?
Now, that's a really interesting question, and it really depends on the student. I will say that the course is full-time, and lessons start at 9 o'clock, finish at 6, and sometimes even later because there's some individual sessions that go into the evenings. Certainly when we're into production periods, the week before the production, we would be into 3-session days, which I mean mornings, afternoons, and evenings. So it is a tiring course. You'll be running from one voice class to a jazz class, from a jazz class to a project, from a project to a singing lesson. There's and I can see by the smile on Chloe's face that that's ever so much a reality. I mean, there's a lot to get to. Some students do have jobs outside the program, but I tend to really feel that this is 10 months where we really would want to see full commitment. In terms of extracurricular activities, there are things within the college. So there's something called Repco where students can get together and put their own performances and productions on. There are loads of activities in the student union bar, which go from sort of quizzes to all sorts of social nights. And, we have quite a vibrant students union with all sorts of societies. So there's always something going on there. Cardiff is also, I want to say Cardiff is also a very vibrant cultural city. So there's a lot of theatre, opera, musical theatre, all of that to go and see. In terms of supporting students in extracurricular activities, I think I wouldn't say we actively are able to support that, but we would encourage you to have downtime and consolidation time and leisure time in the evenings and weekends when you have time.
Thank you, Viv. And then we've got questions which we've kind of touched on before, but maybe you could just give us another answer just to summarise
Sure.
how we prepare our students for employment. So maybe a little bit about Showcase, getting agents, and maybe a little bit about the fact that we are obviously based in Cardiff, we're not in London, and how do we ensure that our students have those opportunities that they'll perceive to be there in London, but are also in Cardiff too.
That's a great question. I don't mind answering that at all, because obviously, we think of London being, the West End and theatre being London centric. I think the sort of contemporary picture of theatre and musical theatre is that that's not necessarily has to be the case. How we prepare students for the profession is every lesson and every day, because professionalism and reputation, the qualities that you're bringing to any rehearsal room, studio, class are thread through absolutely every room that those students are in. And I'm sure Luch and Chloe would corroborate that. It's very, very important, professionalism, because in this year, in these 10 months of training, we're looking to go from recruitment to employment, which is why the training is so intensive. We throw a lot at you in terms of making sure that your rep books, as the girls were saying, are going to be full with a lot of diverse material. The dance teachers will be talking about expectations in dance auditions when you're out there in the world. We talk a lot about rehearsal etiquette. I'd like to think that we are helping to develop the person as well as the artist as well. That's very important to us. So we're looking at what we've got, what we're bringing to our work, which is helpful and unhelpful. As Rian said, we do the showcases. We do those in Cardiff and in London. And I think it's important to retain a London presence so that we can, because musical theatre is an inherently live genre still. So I think it's important that we do have that presence. London is only 2 hours away. In fact, a lot of our practitioners, directors, MDs, choreographers that will work with us on our productions do come down from London. So we don't feel as cut off as people may fear that we are. I think there is perhaps something to be said for training away from London sometimes, but that will depend on the person. The ways in which we're connecting you with industry is by connecting you with industry, by the people that you're working with. They're already working in industry. So the MDs we work with, those creative practitioners that are coming and working with you, they are the first steps to working in industry, because you're making those connections, getting that real world advice directly from the industry all the time. The showcase obviously is the big moment when we're presenting you, as it were, to the industry. We also film your show reels and speeches, so you have a show reel to add onto your spotlight profile or to send to agents as well. So we're trying very hard to put you in touch with industry a lot.
Okay, next question. How do we support students with accessibility needs?
Oh, the college, certainly over the last 3 to 5 years, the college has made huge strides in making sure that we are supporting students with whatever kind of accessibility needs. We have a great student support department, where we have a brilliant head of student support called Kate Williams. Lots of our students have neurodiversity issues or accessibility or other disabilities or dyslexia or dyspraxia. We have a whole host of accessibility issues, whether that's physical or neuro from the point of view of neurodiversity. It's really important to us to make our courses accessible. We're not really interested in running ableist courses. We are legally bound, at the very least, to make reasonable adjustments for any protected characteristic. And I'd like to think that we do that anyway. But actually, I'd like to think we go further than that. We've had students and currently do with hearing loss, with sight loss, with a variety of physical impairments or autism, some kind of spectrum diagnosis. And these things often come hand in hand with creativity, because sometimes adversity earlier in life is what propels us to become creative people and to explore the world in a different way. So we're very familiar with working with people in terms of accessibility. We had an accessibility audit in terms of physical accessibility of the college, excuse me, a little while ago, and we were deemed to be fully accessible, which is good to know. I'm also personally on the Equality, Diversity and Inclusivity Committee. We're working, I don't think by any means our work is finished. As Luch will know, in certain areas, we are still working, because we know that there's still work that we've got to do to make sure that our curriculums are truly, inclusive and representative, and so that people from all backgrounds can see and feel themselves represented and acknowledged within the college community.
Thank you, Viv. I'm going to say that's it for our pre-submitted questions. We'll now open up for live questions. So feel free to pop your question in the chat or raise your Zoom hand or thumb, whatever's easiest for you.
Anna has one. Anna Too Good. Hello, Anna.
Hello. Hiya. Thank you so much. Really enjoying it so far. I know, Vivian, you spoke beautifully about what the college offers, but I'm just wondering if you could think of one unique selling point that the Welsh College has over other master's courses, because obviously I'm at the stage now where I'm applying and thinking about lots of different courses available to me, and I'm just trying to determine like what's the unique point for each college, and also open that up to Chloe and Lucia as well, if you can think of anything.
I'd love to answer that, and it's a really good question. It's very hard to distill it down into one unique selling point when obviously I think there's loads, but I would say no, not at all. But what I think I would say is the fact that we are really, truly and tangibly, visibly connected to individual training, making sure that each student will receive a different experience. There's lots and lots of one-to-one. There's you know, what Lucia needs is very different from what Chloe needs, is different from, you know, every other student in that cohort. They've come from the different places and they're going different places. So I think it's the power of having that open conversation, working with students as partners and saying, okay, what do you need today? Across all the disciplines. So I really would like to say, and perhaps other colleges say that, but we certainly have the benefit of having our small cohorts, so we know that we really can focus on individuals. That's certainly the feedback we get back from our showcases when agents and casting directors say that was great, they were all different. So rather than, you know, having a huge cohort where we can't really differentiate, we're definitely hoping to develop people to be the best professional versions of themselves, rather than homogenizing them into a, you know, a cookie cutter or chorus line. What do you think about that, Chloe and Luch?
I think personally for me, it was obviously we auditioned multiple other places, of course. And for me, it was a big thing about facilities, location in terms of where the college is, a lot of like family orientated, and part of the training. So for me, a still, I know it's the vocal training that we get. Having Tim and another tutor called Ian here, for me, that's quite a big thing. And now Tim is part of our faculty full time. So it's, for me, that was a big selling point.
Yeah, I mean, we were just saying as well, because Chloe and I actually auditioned together. We were on the same audition day. And as Chloe mentioned, we auditioned at a lot of different places. And this, for me, for both of us, in fact, was the best audition that we had in terms of they really care about you as an individual person, not just becoming a clone in the industry. And you have time in the audition to showcase your material, but also showcase yourself
and to talk. Like I remember me and Viv actually chatting in the audition for a good 20 minutes just about and I think that was the big thing. And I'm not saying others don't do that, but some don't. So it was a big standout for me in terms of making me feel wanted is probably the wrong word, but it's valued, and it like really is quite a family feel. It's very like that sounds so corny, but like not in a corny way. Like it really
but like a nurturing environment. That's what I'm getting.
And I think with other courses as well, because we are such small years. We mix with musicians and things in the SU. We get to meet other people quite a lot. So I hope that helps. That's all.
That really does. Yeah. Thank you.
We've got somebody asking when will first round auditions take place, and I can answer that. They will take place in March, more than likely. At this time of year, we have a lot of auditions taking place for the BA because their deadline fell in January. And the MA doesn't fall until March, so those are likely to be when your first round auditions would take place at this stage. Hope that helps. And we've got another one that's saying, thank you, because they're really enjoying it so far, and this might not be an easy question to answer, but in terms of audition songs, are there certain songs or musicals that are very overdone and you would suggest we stay away from?
This is so interesting because, again, this is something that I asked in our class this morning. I have psychic powers I didn't even really know I could access. Are there certain songs that are very overdone? I think you probably know that the answer may be yes in certain cases. However, I would always say, sing the song that you connect with, that you feel suits you and reveals you at your best. And sometimes that might be a well-known song, and that's okay. What I'd like you to be able to do is to be able to have a conversation about why you chose it. There are certain songs maybe that, you know, from certain musicals that might reveal slightly less imagination. It would be nice to know that you have an inquiring mind and a curiosity about the industry, and you haven't just gone for the first song from Les Mis that you can think of, which is, by the way, a show very dear to my heart. But it doesn't mean, so no material is forbidden as long as it's from musical theatre. That is fine. If you're able to have a conversation about it, that would be great. But your song should probably reveal something about you. To me, it reveals who you are as a person, what you choose to sing, what you connect with. Will say something about who you are. So, and at an MA stage, we'd really like you to be able to justify your choices. So nothing very, very overdone. I wouldn't suggest you stay away from anything because, of course, all of the repertoire is valid. But if you fear it may be overdone, just have a conversation with yourself. Maybe Zara going, is this going to disadvantage me? Or am I choosing it because actually I think this is really good casting for me and really sits well in my voice, and it's a story I really connect with. So that I'm afraid not to give you a hard and fast answer on that one. Should we go to Harumi's question? IELTS.
When IELTS needs to be submitted, if an offer is made, we would request IELTS to be submitted by early May. So we don't need it prior to an audition. Hope that helps.
Okay. Shall we go to Matt? Yeah. Hi, Matt.
Hi there, Vivian. Thank you very much for that.
That's all right.
Just a very, very sort of quick logistics question, mainly for Chloe and Lucia, actually. Just wondering if either of you two have any part-time jobs while you're there, and if so, how easy is it to balance the course and that job?
So I did at the beginning of the course, and quite a few of us do.
Yeah.
I think if you're getting a job, you definitely need a flexible one. Because as Viv said, we are expected to dedicate ourselves to the course because it's such a short period of time that it is like an intensive course, so you can do it. Like you have the evenings and you have the weekends. I'd say it is doable and a lot of people do it, but it's, you don't want to be getting a job where you're settled in those hours, because rehearsals and things, things are.
Yeah. And even though we say a normal day is probably 9 till 6. We have warm-up hours from 8, so a lot of us tend to be in from 8. And then after that is tech rep of most times in evenings, once a week or twice a week with rep and tech. And then when it comes to rehearsals for shows, it then gets a little bit more tricky. I know a few of us have jobs, and weekends tends to be better. It then tends to be also about having some downtime as well. So it is about balance. It's possible. It is possible.
Yeah.
People do have jobs, but it's finding that balance and that flexibility in the job, I think, if that helps.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, I think we need to go back to the chat. Someone has said, how long after the first audition are we likely to know whether or not we've been recalled? This time of year, it is around 3 weeks. We're running an awful lot of auditions and we communicate the decisions as quickly as we can, but it can be around 3 weeks. If you haven't heard after 3 weeks, we'd recommend you contact us just to make sure that nothing's gone amiss. The next question is from an international student who says, would you say international students have a hard time adjusting to the culture of living in Cardiff, and what resources are available to provide aid?
Hi, Miranda. That's a great question. Thank you for asking it. We definitely know that international students are dealing with more than students who are coming, from just over the border, maybe in England or a little bit further away in Wales or Scotland or Northern Ireland or Ireland. So we know there is an international society in college. We definitely look out for our international students. We have a student from Bosnia-Herzegovina on the course at the moment who unfortunately arrived late. And I have to say, within a very short amount of time, it was impossible to remember that she'd arrived late at all, because of everything that Chloe and Lucia was saying, is that we do run such a close-knit and supportive and generous department. The college is also very used to international students. I think we have something like, is it 30 different nationalities within the college, of about 900 students. So we are very used to having students from all over the world, and there is support available. Absolutely. I don't know in terms of what resources are available. Somebody else might be better placed to answer that, or we might have to get back to you. I don't want to give you the wrong answer. So should we move? I hope that's helpful, Miranda. Shall we move to Eleanor, second round?
Auditions for MA, possibly around late March. It depends. Once the BA auditions, we group them together. So we want MAs to be auditioning together and BAs to be auditioning together. So we will release dates as soon as we're able to, but they're likely to take place before late March, possibly April.
That's it. Great. Thank you, Lou. Hope that's helpful. Rosie, I can see you've got your hand up. Should we come over to Rosie in the room? Hi.
Hello. Hi. I just wanted to ask, I know you mentioned about I think the girls mentioned about the studios are open from 8 to like allow warm-ups. Is there access to these like amazing facilities on a night, or on a like outside of school hours? Is there access for practicing and things like that?
College opens at 7:30 on weekdays. I think it's slightly later on the weekends. You are allowed to, we have practice rooms that you as students are able to book themselves. Obviously scheduled academic activity has to take precedence, but yes, in the weekends you can book the studios to practice in, or any of the sort of smaller practice rooms. Booking on the weekends can be slightly more problematic because we've got Junior Music Conservatoire and the Young Actors Studio, so often they will be taking precedence. But absolutely, students are, dare I say it, encouraged to book practice rooms in which to do their own practice whenever possible. Yes, Rosie. Yeah, great question. Okay, so
a few more in the chat. Someone's asked what is something that no one ever asks about the course at these Q&As, but should.
What should you know that we don't think you know? I think we run a really happy course. I mean, by and large, it's hard work, but we really do try to make sure that everybody is having a good time. We try to deal with any bumps in the road. Let's be realistic. Bumps in the road happen both at an individual and a group level, and we try to deal with those very sensitively and quickly. I don't know. Perhaps that's something for the girls. What do you think Maddie needs to know that nobody else ever asks? I think Chloe's on the button there.
That's hard. I think maybe not what anyone, but what to bring, if that, in terms of an open mind. I don't know if that's the thing, but I think you often think what the course might be. And yes, on paper you see what you've got, you know, you have your daily things, and yeah, but it's having an open mind to then explore things further, try out going to a club, or going, you know, at the SU they hold bandioke nights. They have a full band, and then you'd go up and write your name down to sing karaoke with them. Or I think it's stuff like that. I know that's not really answering the question.
I think like what Chloe's saying is be brave.
Yeah.
And that goes right back to auditions. Don't be scared to be yourself and to say how you feel about things. Because at the end of the day, I think when you get to a master's level, we are all adults in a room, you know? And I think that your opinion and your feelings are actually really valued at this college. And if you want change and you want something to change, I think be brave.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I love that. Louise, could you answer Anna's question in the chat?
It means that there's the current dates are all full and more will be released. That's what it means. So don't panic. There will be more dates sent out.
Great.
Okay.
Do I just keep checking the link?
Keep checking. If you check at the end of the day tomorrow, there should be some more.
Okay.
I'm going to go to Jashin's question in the chat. Can you use props like chairs for the monologue in the first round or online audition? Absolutely. You can use props if it helps you to be on a chair. What we don't need are newspapers and telephones and ironing boards and pets. You know, we don't need all of those sorts of props. But if it's helpful for you to be grounded on a chair, absolutely, that's great. I'm going to go straight on to Cara's question. Yes, accommodating students who have restricted mobility, absolutely. We are very happy to, we don't have that in a very visible way at the moment on this current cohort, but absolutely, we are really committed to making sure that anybody with restricted mobility can access the dance portion of the course. When we write the programme, we have to go through an equality, diversity and inclusivity assessment. So the course has to be accessible. So that means in terms of how we would assess you, we would make those reasonable adjustments to make sure that you can access the relevant parts of those classes for you and that we would be able to assess you on that. Probably work to be done on that. You know, full transparency, we haven't yet had a student with, you know, considerable mobility difficulties, but we have certainly auditioned those students quite successfully and offered them, but they just didn't come. So yeah, absolutely, we're committed to doing that. We have a very open mind in terms of that, and a college-wide commitment to make sure that happens. Shelby likes the idea of bandioki, and tutor Nicole has a question. She has her hand up.
Hi, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Nicole.
Hi. So I just have a question regarding international students. So would you be expected to pick up more of an English accent when performing, or do you encourage the use of your own accents?
Absolutely your own accent, because that's where you're going to access authenticity and truth, you know, so most genuine communication as an actor. What we do run is dialect classes, so we'll be looking at the most prominent accents for musical theatre. So we'll look at a standard American, we'll look at a standard English, and some other regional dialects. We wouldn't need you or anybody to change their own native accent. The way our students speak, the way their dialects are, is the way they are, and that's a reflection of their personality. I don't really think at industry level now that's an expectation. I think that's a sort of a bit of an old-fashioned expectation that everybody would neutralize accents. I think it goes back to the individuality question. We want our students to be who they are. I also think, realistically speaking, it's probably a large ask to ask somebody to neutralize their accent in 10 months and do that so reliably. So what's more important than neutralizing an accent is clarity of communication. So as long as you're clear and you can be understood, then that's great.
Perfect. Thank you so much for answering that. Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Viv,
Viv,
just conscious of the time. Should we maybe take our last question?
Yeah, should we take Matt's in the chat then? Accommodation.
I've arranged an accommodation. When an offer is made, we will send out some information from Student Services. Accommodation application forms don't normally go live until April, May time. And students or applicants will fill that form in to tell us what accommodation that they want, and our Student Services department will then try and assist you in getting that accommodation. I wonder if Chloe and Lucia might be able to say how easy it is from a student point of view. Because
so the process I went through was exactly that. So they send, if you get an offer, they then send you out a link and a form to fill in about saying whether you want to live with postgrads, etc. Really easy, just click the link, fill it in, and then they get back to you with your flat, who you're going to be in, and the next process in terms of deposit and everything like that. But super easy, because basically the college do it for you and you go through the so it's great.
Luke, do you want to talk about private accommodation, because you've got a different experience because you don't live in halls?
Yeah, of course. So I live in about 30-minute walk away from college, and I live with students from Cardiff Met University, and I I really appreciate that, because it means that I get to know other people in Cardiff. You know, it's something separate from the course, and I wanted to do that. And I managed to get that accommodation through Facebook, actually. There's a lot of groups about housing in Cardiff. I think I Overheard, I think, is the best one. There's loads of houses that come up on Overheard, and anyone can join the group. And that was a really easy process as well. And there's houses coming up there all the time. So there's a lot of options.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. That's great. So if you have a topic, anybody that you'd like to, answered in a more private setting, please feel free to email admissions@rwcmd.ac.uk. We'll arrange an appointment for that to happen. And indeed, if we've not been able to answer your question, we'll get back to you. So hopefully that's gone in the chat box.
Yes, all in the chat box, I think.
So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. It's really lovely to see so many people and some really great questions. Thanks, Rhian.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye, everyone.